We are warning you, these criminals are going to creep under your skin with their shocking behavior. Dylan Shoemaker. Our first video takes us to the quiet town of Springville, New York. A sinister event unfolded in 2013 that left the community in shock. At the tender age of 16, Dylan Shoemaker was entrusted with babysitting his girlfriend's children. What started as an ordinary evening took a chilling turn when Shoemaker, driven to the brink by the cries of little Austin Smith, resorted to a horrifying act. He placed a pillow over the toddler's innocent face and struck it to stifle the noise. Austin's life was tragically ended. When Ashley Smith, Austin's mother, returned home from work, she was met with a heart-wrenching scene. Her son lay lifeless. Shoemaker, in the grip of guilt, claimed it was an unintended accident. As the 2014 trial unfolded, the jury rejected Shoemaker's defense. Delivering a verdict, he was found guilty of murder. The sentence was severe, initially a lifetime behind bars, later reduced to 18 years. Currently incarcerated in Clinton Correctional Facility, Shoemaker awaits a potential parole hearing in 2031. Prior to the trial, Shoemaker had plotted to take advantage and exploit emotions and leverage his youth, inexperience, and anger issues to sway the jury. However, the judge saw through the facade, branding him a manipulator and deceiver in a case that continues to haunt the collective conscience of Springville. If you thought this was evil, wait till you see the next video. Leonid Grazer. In 2019, Leonid Grazer was thrusted him into the spotlight for his involvement in a murder case intertwined with alleged Satanism. The unsettling incident took place when neighbors of a brother-sister pair heard distressing screams. When the police arrived, they discovered Grazer stripped down, drawing satanic symbols in blood on his sister's body and his head. He was engaged in a ritual, attempting to invoke Satan and urging him to leave his body. During the court proceedings, Grazer showcased an eerie lack of remorse for his actions, even going to the bizarre extent of trying to escape through the ceiling. In 2019, an 18-year-old Grazer found himself in a glass-walled box at the Sherbinski court, seemingly under the illusion that he could execute a sneaky getaway with everyone watching. Vigilant police officers thwarted his attempt, grabbing his leg before he could vanish into the tiled ceiling. Despite managing to shake out of his trousers, the officers restrained him until backup arrived, ultimately using a taser to subdue him. Despite the outcry, Grazer remains behind bars for the murder of Ariana Karol, and there's no sign of his imminent release. In 2020, the Sherbinski District Court in Moscow sentenced him to mandatory psychiatric medical treatment. All right, on to the next one. TJ Lane. In 2012 at Chardon High School in Ohio, TJ Lane set off a chain of chaos. His initial target was a supposed romantic rival, but the outcome was far more tragic. 3 students dead, 3 injured. What prompted him to turn his classmates into targets? A disturbing foreshadowing emerged 2 months before the shooting when Lane posted an ominous message on Facebook declaring, "I am death, and you have always been the sod." Despite this eerie warning, the impending tragedy took everyone by surprise. The haunting incident unfolded in the school cafeteria on February 27, 2012. Around 7:30 a.m. Lane, just 18 years old, stormed in, firing at 5 male students and 1 female student. The chaos ended when Lane fled, subdued by a courageous teacher and coach. The aftermath was grim. Russell King Jr., Demetrius Hewlin, and Danny Parmator lost their lives, and 2 others suffered severe injuries. A survivor unequivocally identified Lane as the assailant. Lane faced a severe sentence, adorned in a provocative killer t-shirt during the proceedings. He displayed shocking remorselessness, flipping his middle finger at attendees. Judge David Fury handed down 3 life sentences without parole for murder, along with additional years for attempted aggravated murder and felonious assault. Despite Lane's history of mental health issues, the court deemed him mentally competent, suggesting he may have feigned illness. The mother of paralyzed victim Nick Walzak questioned Lane's motives, while Dina Parmator, mother of slain victim Daniel, labeled Lane a pathetic excuse for a human being and a monster. Strangely, Lane reportedly smiled during these emotionally charged moments. Some people are just monsters like TJ Lane. Here we have another example for it. DEA Millerberg. This story revolves around the Millerbergs and their complex dynamics with 16-year-old babysitter Alexis Rasmussen, who tragically succumbed to a drug overdose in 2011. 41-year-old DA Millerberg was handed a maximum 5-year prison term for her role in disposing of their teenage babysitter's body with her husband after a night of drug use. The Millerbergs, engaging in a troubling barter of drugs for babysitting, managed to conceal Rasmussen's body for over a month. The judge, while condemning the crime as horrendous, granted Dia a slightly milder sentence in exchange for her willingness to testify against her husband. While Dia was implicated, prosecutors argued that her husband, Eric Millerberg, held a greater degree of responsibility. Despite Dia's 3-year stretch of drug-free living and the restoration of custody of her children, she sought probation during her sentencing. Her lawyer underscored her history of drug issues and mistreatment by both her current and former husbands. While Dia faces a prison term, her husband, Eric Millerberg, received a harsher sentence, including charges of child abuse and the potential for a life term. The county attorney labeled this as one of the most perplexing cases, leaving a profound impact on both families and the community. Dia agreed to testify against her husband in exchange for a reduced sentence, admitting guilt to charges like obstructing justice and unlawfully acquiring prescription drugs. Despite being on bail for 3 years, Dia could have been looking at up to 15 years behind bars. One can only hope she learns her lesson. Moving on to the next one, Daniel Nicholson. In this video, we have a classic escape attempt. A drug-influenced prisoner, Daniel Nicholson, made a bold attempt to escape by vaulting over the courtroom dock. The high-stakes incident played out at Christie's Beach Magistrates Court in Adelaide, where Nicholson's bail was revoked due to weapons and driving offenses. Fueled by drugs, the 35-year-old managed to overpower 2 sheriff's officers, executing a gravity-defying leap over the dock and landing on the bar table. Despite the tackle by the police prosecutor, Nicholson briefly wriggled free, only to be swiftly restrained again by the same sheriff's officer. Now facing additional charges of escaping custody and recklessly causing harm to the sheriff's officers, Nicholson, a father of 4, has been confined since the incident. His lawyer attributed his behavior to a long-standing issue with illicit drug use and stressed Nicholson's genuine remorse for his actions. On to the next one, Christopher Teal. Christopher Teal, accused of a 2018 rape at a Ballard car dealership, erupted in another violent episode during a competency hearing in King County Courtroom 1201. During the hearing, Teal, charged with a disturbing crime, shouted and advanced toward the judge. Swiftly surrounded by law enforcement officers who had previously handcuffed him for assaulting his then-former attorney 2 weeks earlier, Teal was tackled to the ground. While pinned down, Teal unleashed a barrage of threatening statements, even admitting to being a pedophile. In response to this outrageous action, the judge opted to postpone the competency hearing, relocating it out of courtroom 1201. Judges and victim advocates have long raised concerns about the congested and potentially hazardous conditions in courtroom 1201. Regarded as the busiest felony court in Washington state, it accommodates inmates, attorneys, accused felons, and victims, creating a confined and tense environment. That concludes today's video. Hit that like and subscribe button for more engaging content. Thanks for watching. Until next time.